Are you ready?
Starting now?
Now you just messed it up, you knob. God, you know that the shit that we go through for this, huh?
I know. Fuckers better appreciate it. When we started, we were just like, yeah, we're just going to do this, man. You know, shoot our wad into the wind and see what happens. What's the title of this podcast again?
I don't know. I don't know. Something with a penis, I guess.
Right.
Our fucking faces are everywhere now.
Right.
You know, but
You're welcome, ladies.
Right. Popular with the ladies. Right. Oh, I'm not even going to apologize because hopefully it sounds fucking hilarious.
Yeah, totally. This is fucking explicit now.
The explicit button. Let me use my finger.
La, 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 la.
It is time for another episode of Sober, Not Mature. And that episode starts now. All right, everyone. Welcome once again to another episode of Sober, Not Mature. And we have a first tonight. We have actually two guests.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is kind of fun. But yeah, it took us a couple minutes just to get everyone kind of organized. But this is kind of cool. We've never had two guests on here at the same time, so it's kind of cool. So go ahead, both of you guys, if you can, one at a time. Let's go alphabetically. We'll start with Breeze. Introduce yourselves real quick. Just tell us who you are, where you're from, and then we'll get things started, okay?
That's always like my most hated question because I don't know where to actually start.
The beginning.
The beginning.
Yeah, just your name, just a quick intro. How's that?
Well, my name is Breeze, and I'm Australian, and I now live in America, and I am a musician, and that's all I can sort of think of to keep it short and sweet.
Yeah, that's fine. Australian too. By the way, I love the accent already. Just talking to you a few minutes before, so I'm gonna have fun with this. You get a cool accent. I like that. So go ahead, Carly. Your turn.
My name is Carly. I am from Baltimore, Maryland, and I live in Naples, Florida, and I do design. And yeah, that is my short and sweet intro.
Okay. Yeah, that's actually pretty easy, you guys. Both short and sweet intros. So, and I know it took us a little bit to try to organize this. Thankfully, we have a problem every once in a while where we have a lot of people lined up for guests. So it was kind of, I know we had to put you guys off for like a month, but I'm glad that we were able to, finally get everything set. And we both obviously got to hear the overview of your story and stuff like this. So I think it's going to be a great conversation for everyone to hear. You guys have, I think, listened to our episodes. You kind of know what our deal is. And Mike is usually a better person to explain kind of and I always say this, our quote unquote format, because we don't really have one. But since we have two people, Mike, your little explanation for two people, how's that?
All right. Well, yeah, we're interested in the solution. We know how to fuck up our lives. We know how to fuck up the lives of everybody around us. We're not interested in a drunk-a-log. We know how to do all that stuff. If anybody wants to know how to get fucked up, give me a call. I'll sit there for hours and tell you how to do it. No, we want to hear the solution. Obviously a little background, a little qualifying is just fine. We just, again, don't want to hear a drunk-a-log because those are fucking boring.
Yeah.
So however you guys want to do it, if your stories intertwine at some points, obviously, which they do, but either one of you, if you want to go first and give us a little bit about you guys, and then we'll just roll through.
Okay, Breeze, do you want me to start or would you like to start?
You can start.
Okay.
Take it away.
Okay, so I guess a little intro to myself, and I've been, we don't want to get into the drunkalogs, which is actually what made me want to reach out to you guys and get on this podcast and talk to you, because I liked how authentic you were and how you guys didn't apologize for being yourselves. But at the end of the day, you promoted sobriety and encouraged recovery. And I thought that was really cool because, you had a way when I listened to the podcasts of making it fun. And that's kind of what was my issue when I first got sober, was this is so boring. And I seriously. And so ever since sobriety, I've struggled with that. You know, for me, it was the drugs and alcohol that made things more fun and more doable and more enjoyable. So I liked listening to your podcast because I was able to see and hear like, oh, okay, I can be sober and I can still have fun. And so it helped. That's why I thought that we would be able to have a good conversation, because I was like, oh, I'll get along with these guys.
Well, good. Well, thank you.
Yeah. So anyway, I have been struggling with addiction for 14 years. And just recently this year in February 2023, decided to get sober. And I know they say to do it for yourself, but the breeze rolled in.
Hell yeah. That's me.
And I officially decided to, because I had tried multiple times before. I had been in rehab before, came out, failed sobriety attempt. So just trying to figure out how to get sober. And I guess what I wanted to introduce first would be how Breeze and I met, and how they say when you're in AA and stuff, and when you're in sobriety, that it takes another alcoholic or another addict to be able to communicate with you, and like for you to be able to see eye to eye with them. Because I had plenty of people in my life, like my parents, my sister, friends, who knew I had a problem, wanted me to get help, but the communication, it just didn't add up. And it wasn't until I met Breeze that it was, I felt like somebody was able to kind of unknowingly, because I didn't give her all this credit at first when we met, she was able to inspire me to get out of my own way and to get sober. So after struggling with that for 14 years, being in detox rehab and different events like that, she and I met in Nashville. And I found she actually was, like she said, she's a musician, and she was performing that night we were at a bar, and I was, not to get into my drunk-a-log, but I was very intoxicated. And she didn't get on the stage until like 11:30 at night, and just completely rocked out on the drums, like rocked out on the drums. And I was like blown away. And I was like, okay, this girl is hot, talented, like all of that. And then the next day I'm trying to work, and it's 8:00 in the morning, and I'm doing my usual getting high and going to be drunk by a certain time. And I'm like sitting there thinking about, because then I had, obviously stalked her on Instagram and came across her post, and I saw she was sober, and I was like, what in the hell? Like, how did she just rock out on a stage at pretty much midnight in a bar with everybody there? Like, we were all shit-faced, and she's rocking out on the drums, like blowing everybody in the bar away. And I just had so much, it was just kind of a shock moment for me, because I was like, how do you do that sober? Like, I didn't even know how to like go to the grocery store sober. How does she get on a stage and do this sober? So anyway, I slid in the DMs.
Yeah, you did.
And I just said, like, last night was awesome. Like, and I just kind of admitted, like, I have a problem, and I've been trying to, work on this and get sober. Like, after seeing you perform, and then reading about you, you being sober, like, this is really inspiring. But so anyway, she ended up checking in with me to see how my sobriety was going. And I didn't want to start this relationship off lying or saying things that I wasn't doing or wasn't holding true to. So I was like, oh shit, I gotta actually like clean up my act. So anyway, I ended up, after we met, I slowly cleaned up my act. I had to wean off of everything. And it was really, really, really hard for 2 months. The first 2 months of sobriety, I was like, fuck this. Like, this is terrible. But we ended up, I had my accountability partner, my friend, now girlfriend, but I had that person that was there for me and inspired me to start that journey. And honestly, it took like seeing her on stage and just like illuminating the whole the whole venue, and then finding out the next day she was sober doing that in a bar at midnight. And I was like, okay, I need to get, it was just very eye-opening to me that like I can't do anything sober, and if that person can do that sober, I can get sober too. So that was the kickoff for me getting sober, our relationship, and then now, you know, we've been there for each other through sobriety when you're facing a lot of hard feelings and stuff. And now what we've decided to do with that is we started a little brand, a thing called Trust Your Message, where we would like to talk more about what we're going to be doing with that. But Bree's being in Nashville, she's going to be doing nights at the studio where artists who are sober come in and share songs and share music. So we're basically taking all of the pain that we've had over the years and what kind of led us to our addiction and our problem, and we're now expressing that in very artistic ways. Breeze does music and writes songs and plays instruments. I write poetry, and I do writing, I do painting, I design homes. So we both have very creative outlets, and we're just kind of combining that into the Trust Your Message, which is going to allow us to, it's about finding the message within your mess.
Yeah.
Nice.
Right. Yeah, and that's I don't want to say that your story is completely common, but if you break it down, it fits for a lot of people. As you saw somebody that had what you wanted, and you saw somebody doing something that you didn't think was possible, and you worked with that person and ended up, kind of working your way into a sober person. So, although, again, and we say this all the time, neither one of us, clearly Mike and I didn't walk the same path exactly, but we're on the same highway, I guess. What do you always say, Mike, that the path is wide?
It is. And we
Yeah.
ended up in the same hole. So, you know.
Exactly. We ended up with the same hole in Cleveland, Ohio at the same sober living facility. But no, that's kind of a great story. And I was
And it's pretty
laughing
much the definition of attraction rather than promotion.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, because I was just like attracted appearance wise at first. I had no idea. I'm not even gonna lie. I was like, whoa, and I didn't know the background or anything. And I'm just so grateful because things work out really funny. And I'm just really grateful that it gets a little better. So if you want they actually broke an instrument on purpose, like smashed a guitar during the performance. And I, being my drunk self, you're not supposed to go on stage when a band is performing, but I really wanted to get this drummer's attention. So I ran on stage and her brother, who was her bandmate at the time, ended up signing the guitar. And I remember just standing there being so frustrated, like, I really wanted the drummer to sign this guitar.
Fucking guitar players.
Yeah, and it was funny because I did make a leap on the stage, and I really made some effort to get up there and be seen, but she didn't see me. And that's what also really attracted me to her was how focused and passionate she was about like what she was doing there, and she was just focused, and I was like, that is. And then when I found out she was sober, I was like, that is hot.
So you're Carly, what's your sobriety date? You said February this year, correct?
Correct. February 16th.
Okay, 23, cool. And then do we want to let Breeze kind of fill in now, or do you got more to say? Because we'll talk about the Trust Your Message thing. Clearly, we want to talk about that because I know that we talked about a lot of things, but get a little background and all the context of this. I'd love to hear Breeze's side of the story with this now.
Yes, absolutely.
This crazy little chick that's literally lit jumps up onto the stage. But Breeze, tell us about that night.
I was so unaware of Carly's presence this whole night. So
don't break my heart, hon.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So I can't even say like I knew she was there. I only kind of like knew her after when she slid into my DMs with this message saying like I'm getting clean and like all this sort of stuff. And so yeah, that night for me was actually, I was 7 months sober at the time, and that was my first time actually back in a bar, because all before that I was just scared to even enter any space or any environment where there was alcohol. So I had done a lot of work to even get back out there and performing again, because it's like in the music industry, you're just surrounded by alcohol. It's just like, it's everywhere. And so I was kind of a little afraid, but I was also even thinking, as like when I did get sober that year, like, can I even perform again? Because it's like, so that was a genuine fear of mine. So to like actually be there that night and play, and I was actually did okay. I didn't even feel like triggered or anything. I felt like pretty calm the whole night. But so yeah, that was my first time. I didn't see Carly at all, but I do remember my brother telling me that some like crazy person got the guitar, and and so I was like, oh geez, that's kind of dangerous to get up on stage, because we're like very rough, like we're always like throwing things around, and so yeah, we're like, that was very dangerous. But anyway, that's drunk people for you.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, we've all been there. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, I'm sure I was like that at some point. So yeah, I just remember it just started off like very innocently, like just wanting to help and kind of just be supportive, because I know exactly what it's like when you do make that decision. You do feel like everything you've ever known is just like a lie, and like everything around you is just very unstable. So I just know what I went through was having supportive voices, whether like those people understood it fully or not. It was just, they understood that I couldn't drink alcohol anymore. And at least they were encouraging that for me, to make sure I remembered that. That was like good. So that was kind of like my intention with Carly when we met. But the rest was kind of history, because, you get to know someone and then you're just like, oh, this is like a very cool person that I would like to, spend my life with at some point. So it's just kind of like, so it's just kind of, I think it's a really beautiful thing now to like be with someone that does fully understand what you're going through. And, even though we're like at different parts of the journey, it's just nice to have someone that I know I can just reach out to at any point and being like, hey, I'm having like a bad day, or this has happened and I'm having all these feelings, and just to have someone that really understands what you mean when you say that, because it's not like it's not a big deal. So it's like,
right.
For yeah, I just think it's a really wonderful thing, and a really like a blessing. So yeah.
So did you you got sober when? July of last year?
It was May 23rd of last year. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're exactly right. I mean, having and that's the main thing. Like Mike and I were in the same sober living facility to end up again surrounded by, by all these in some cases all these just freaking oddball people. And again, if you take a look at the pictures, and we always say this, no reason in the world why Mike would have ever hung out with me, and no reason in the world why I would have hung out with him. One of the things that kind of intrigued me too when Carly was telling me about this, the whole musician thing, because Mike's got stories too. That was his life, some years ago. So I'm sure he's got plenty to add to that. But so you were in, just Breeze, to step back a little bit, you were in Australia and got sober, or you got sober here, or how did that work?
I got sober here in the States. So I've never had a great relationship with alcohol, but where it I guess it turned into alcoholism was over here in the States. And what triggered a lot of that was there was just a lot going on in my life that I just could not deal with. And so I guess this bad habit that I had in the past just kind of like emphasized. And so yeah, I was like a real piece of shit for like the first year I was here. Yeah, I was just like, it's just kind of crazy to even think about that person now, because it's like I don't recognize any part of her like at all. So yeah, I would just really just drink a lot just to escape a lot of things. What I would say the main trigger was is like my visa situation when I first got here. It then got kind of like extended. So before it was approved, they wanted like more evidence. So then what was meant to happen in like 4 months extended to like nearly a full year. So a full year of living here, it's like I couldn't do any work. I just had to like sit and wait. And I was just in this holding pattern. And it was driving me crazy. And I just had a lot of fear as well. Because just to even get here, COVID was still a thing and borders were still shut. So it wasn't like I could just fly back home and then fly here. So I was just living in a lot of fear. And it's probably the most fear I've ever felt in my life, because every area of my life was just uncertain. I had no stability. And so when you're kind of put under that pressure and you're not really given healthy tools or even have any skills whatsoever in managing emotions, I was just like prime for this disease to just be like, hey, I've got an answer for you, which is a total like fucking lie, and never believe it. But it's just enticing that way because it is that quick fix. And I also feel with alcohol, it's just so easy to get away with it because it's so infused in our culture that you could be like a high functioning alcoholic and no one will know. And
Right.
and like no one will even bat an eye. Like I was like the most drunk at parties. I would drink everyone under the table and it was like kind of applauded, like it was cool. But I knew inside like why I was doing it. I wasn't doing it to even have fun anymore. I was basically like using all those people to come and hang out so I could just escape my reality and not deal with things. And so it's just kind of like a crazy thing to think of now, but my wake-up call was when I was just like really over everything. I was just over life. I was just like, none of this makes sense. I don't even like know my purpose anymore. Like, so I just wanted to check out, and thankfully I didn't. And I just woke up the next morning like just really confused why I'm still here. And it's like, I have to make a change. I can't do this anymore. I kind of scared the shit out of myself, to be honest. And
Right.
so I know like a lot of people say like their first few months getting sober is the hardest. And like, honestly, it was like the easiest because I was like that scared of what alcohol did to me. Like I just did not go near it, and I wouldn't go near it. I wouldn't enter a bar. I wouldn't even let, anyone drink in the house. Like all the parties stopped. I just went like full blown, just talking to God and like getting my spiritual life healthy again. And that's what really carried me through for the first year and till I think I was like 8 or 9 months in till then I got a sponsor and then started attending meetings. And that was all due to meeting Carly, because she was bringing a lot of like language to it that like even the idea of like being sober, like I don't think I had like a full understanding. I knew like I didn't drink anymore and I couldn't drink anymore, but I didn't have like a lot of that language
Now what?
to it. Yeah. Yeah, it was just kind of like, I was kind of sensing, I'm like, I think this is more than just stopping drinking. Like there's a, it's like, it's not just like a health thing or a fad or like just a bad habit. I'm like, I think there's something more to this. So like Carly was like really, really good at bringing in that like articulation to where it like kind of made me sit and think, being like, I think I have to like start attending meetings and like look up alcoholism as a disease and like all this sort of stuff. So I just think like the right people enter your life at the right times when you're making decisions like this, when you know like you've hit rock bottom and you come out of it like kind of with a bit of perspective, because I know what it's like to be just spiraling down and you just have no idea really the person that you are.
Right.
but you do get to that moment, and I honestly think it's like God is just like, okay, if I let you go any further, like you're just gonna, there's no turning back, and like this is where you're gonna come out of it, and I'm gonna help you, and you're gonna become a healthier person, and you're actually gonna see the person that you really are, which is why I get like, I think it's like why I like helping people, sort of like guiding them, because it's like I get to watch them become the person they really are, and they get to sort of see how much of a lie addiction is, because we're all caught up in that thought of like, this is who I am, or this is how I function, and it's like, it's actually dimming who you really are. You're like kind of blocking yourself from
No, absolutely.
actually being your highest self to a sense. And so that's kind of me filling in the blanks. I'm sorry if that rambled on a bit too long.
No, I mean, not at all, because what was kind of funny, I was going to say to Mike, does any of that sound familiar to both of us?
Just
Well,
a little bit.
And here,
And that's what's so comforting, is like, when you do meet people who are also in recovery, and you kind of like, we don't all like delve into like, here's what I did, but you pick up here and there, and it makes you feel less nuts, because you do have those moments where you're like, was I just imagining that? Or do I actually have a problem? Or was it just all the stress in my life? And so it is really good when you are amongst other people that are also going through it. You do get here and there those kind of like comforts of hearing their story, but you also get insight and a bit of wisdom as well. So
Oh, absolutely. Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like the big book says, we're bodily and mentally different than our fellows. And that's absolutely true when we're out there in the real world. We are bodily and mentally different than those people. But we walk into the rooms and we're exactly the same as everybody in there.
Oh, yeah.
And I used to hate that shit.
I love it. I love it
Yeah,
now.
of course, yeah. But I find comfort in it now.
Yeah.
I'm a loner and isolator and all that good stuff. And I don't like people generally, but yes, there is comfort in knowing that I'm not alone anymore. That's a great thing.
Yeah. And it's like whenever I attend meetings or I run into someone else who like, it's funny because I really think that like that saying of like your vibe attracts your tribe. Like I run into so many people where it's like they're in recovery too. And I don't know if it's just because I am in recovery now or if it's just who I attract, but you do get that comfort. And I love it whenever I sit in a meeting, I'm just like, these are my people, like bunch of crazy people, but at least like we all admit how we are fuck ups and we are trying to get better. And that's what I like the most about it.
Well, yeah, we take responsibility for our shortcomings.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Right.
well, and I think what's kind of cool here, and I hope that anyone that's listening is paying attention to this, what Carly said, and also what Breeze just said, and the fact that I was teasing Mike about this sound familiar. So, I'll be 55 in 2 days. Mike's 56.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
And then Carly, are you guys both in your 30s? Am I wrong on that?
Yes. Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
Yes.
So then we've got, two females on here in their 30s that are basically talking about the same shit that we talk about all the time. And this is like what you just said, Breeze, which is, it's fucking mind-blowing that when Mike always says it doesn't matter where you came from, doesn't matter who you are, the solution's the same. This is a wonderful example of that. And it doesn't matter who you are. And what we used to always say, my sponsor in Wisconsin used to say that the same dog that bit you bit me. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We all got bit by the same thing, So I just think it literally, when I was listening to you, Breeze, I'm just like, God damn. Okay, so again, your path has nothing to do with mine, but all these different things you're saying and the way you were feeling and that desperation. I mean, it just the only difference was I was 41 and Mike was 43 at the time we got sober. That's it. Other than we're guys. Okay, I mean that's two different things. But you know what I mean. It's just that it blows my mind. Same thing. Sitting in a meeting and talking to an old guy or a young person or anyone in between, doesn't matter where they came from, what their nationality is, what their ethnicity is, all these different things. It's just really fucking cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
I
like, oh, sorry, Carly, you go.
No, go ahead.
No, you go. I've talked enough.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I think it's just I think it's just really cool and admirable. Like I knew I had a problem, but I had always kind of kept it a secret. And when I kept it a secret and didn't tell any, that's when I would actually end up relapsing and not being able to stay sober. And but once I saw like Breeze had made a post when I first reached out to her, and I saw she had made a post about sobriety, and then that's when I just kind of started to realize like, oh, there's a community for this. And then, like I had never. I think what I think is really cool about meeting people in recovery and stuff is that people, when they talk about it, and I understand some people want that private and keep it private, but I do think it's really neat that everybody there is kind of coming together. You're in a really harsh world where there's, people aren't always the nicest. And when, when you like, flaws aren't usually accepted or admired, but I really admire the flaws of people, addicts and people who are in recovery who come in and openly want to get better or admit their flaws and then kind of are just out doing that in order to help others. And I've realized how healing that is. And for the first time, I think I've been able to stick to sobriety because I'm recovering out loud and because I'm kind of building a little community of people. So that's what I'm most mind blown by is the fact that we live in a harsh world, but the recovery and sobriety community they are really just a bunch of people who have, out of a lot of pain, are striving to help others. And I think that's the coolest part to me.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well,
it's the only thing not the only thing, but it's a big part of, being there and being an example and being, help to other people. Because I was such a piece of shit for so long and such a taker for so long, the world owed me, and it turns out, no, I owe the world. And somehow by changing that attitude, my life got better.
Yes.
It doesn't make any fucking sense, but, but there it is.
Exactly. And one other thing I wanted to throw in, because I forgot to add it into my intro, and I did want to mention this because it was really just to kind of, because Breeze went into like the visa and the battles she was fighting being in a new country and the unknown and just kind of the instability that led to the addiction, then to the not wanting to be here thing. When I first interacted with her, I was actually in Nashville working, and that was my first time ever in Nashville when I saw her. And I was in Nashville working on a music video. And this project started after I lost my house in the hurricane. And I was actually in the midst of when Breeze and I met, I was living in Miami and I was on a 3-month bender. I mean, we're not going to go into the stories or whatever, because we already agreed that's not what this podcast is about. But I had lost my home and I had hit rock bottom, and I was going through those ups and downs of what she talked about, of just not wanting to be here after losing my house. It's like, because then once I lost my house, I realized how, because of my addiction that had been going on for 14 years, it was like there was this huge void, like huge. I hadn't worked on family relationships. I hadn't worked on friendships. It was like emptiness, like no. And it took losing my everything I'd worked for and stuff and not being able to have a home to live in and being on a 3-month bender in Miami to realize how empty I was, and how the more I went down that hole, it was just this spiral that just kept getting worse. So when we did meet she didn't meet me that night, but when I got on stage that night in attempt to meet her, that was where I was in the middle of living in Miami. I was in Nashville for the weekend, and it was that project too, and not just Breeze, but the community of people I met there when I was working on that project. Like the artist is Jacqueline, and she's a Nashville based artist, and that's who I worked on the project with. And her and her friends she brought me around, I realized when I was the only one that was like constantly looking to be mind altered. And so it was very strange to me the way these people were operating just sober and normal. Like I was around people in the music industry working on this song, they were sober. I was going to this show, I found out the drummer was sober. It made me realize, like, okay, it's not, because I'm sitting there thinking like they're weird, and I'm like, okay, maybe it's not them. So I was like, so anyway, it was very eye-opening from going to that lifestyle I was living in Miami after losing my home to Nashville and being grounded by, these amazing people who didn't have, I had found out Breeze had this problem, but the other people didn't. And it really, opened my eyes to like, this is not the way I should be living my life. But it took having to lose everything in order to get to that point.
Right. And I mean, really what it comes down to is that Mike and I were both at that point. I mean, if you ever listen to his story, I mean, it had to do with his daughter giving him, basically an ultimatum. And with me, I just had no fucking place to go. And my family's like, you got to go someplace, man. You got nothing else to do. So, it's weird. And some of the things we talk about too, so did we have to go through all the things we went through? And I'm talking about all four of us. And my answer, Mike and I agree on this, is yes. Because whatever we had to go through, as bad as it was, and as shitty as it was, and as many people as we might have fucked over and all those different things, it is what it is to get us to that point. Wherever our point was, rock bottom this, rock bottom that, or whatever you want to call it, it was what had to happen. And Mike is the one that says it all the time. We can take all these bad things, right, Mike, and help people.
Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
Yes, it's so true. And I feel like I'm at the end of the day, in a lot of my poetry, I write about that, where it's like I'm actually grateful for everything that happened. Because if it wasn't for that, losing my my physical home and where I was able to rest my head every night, I don't think I would have spiraled down so far, and I wouldn't have gotten sober. And I would still be if it wasn't for that hurricane doing the damage it did, I would still be living the same life I was.
Yeah. And it's crazy, but I mean, seriously, it just Mike did group with the Keating Center for a lot of years, and I mean, you used to talk to the guys about that every once in a while too, didn't you, Mike? As far as like all that shit, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's nothing we can do about the past. There's nothing we can do about it. All we can do is deal with today, but all that crap that we went through has worth now. It has meaning because we use it to help other people. And it's relating with people, I'm such a piece of shit. Yeah, you're a piece of shit. Check out what I did.
Yeah.
Right. And we don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And you meet people who understand and who don't. The most beautiful part about what Breeze and my relationship when we first started communicating was there wasn't shame. There was so much acceptance that we had for each other. And it wasn't like, for the first time I was talking to somebody and I wasn't wearing this mask of trying to impress them, or like I was at a really bad point. It was my first, when we started talking, I really actually put in the work to get sober. And for me, I needed more of like a explanation and terminology. And so that's when I was going to the meetings, and then that kind of rubbed off on her. So we both rubbed off on each other in different ways about sobriety. Like she kind of opened my eyes to actually getting sober, and then I kind of pulled her into the, like getting a sponsor and doing these things. So we both really benefited from our relationship. And I think that was the coolest part about it.
Right.
I agree.
Yeah, and that's pretty much.
We learned from each other. That's how this thing works.
Exactly.
It was a failed stockbroker and a butt doctor down in Akron, Ohio, got together and figured this shit out.
Yeah. Well, exactly. And you learn from each. I lost my train of thought. I had something really good I was going to say, and I lost it. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
We learn from each other. Yes, we help each other, and we learn from each other, and we teach each other, and it's how this whole thing works.
Right. But I was going to say on the term butt doctor, it might be a good time for us to take a break, right, Mike? And Carly could
Absolutely.
Kylie could try to catch her thoughts and get figure out what she was going to say too. So go ahead, Mike.
All right. Well, we'll
I
be
hate it
back
when
with
that
more
happens.
of this scintillating butt talk after these words from our sponsor.
Hey everyone, it's your friends at Sober Not Mature.
Hi
and,
there.
yes, it's both of your friends this time. Hi Mike, how are you?
I'm well. How are you, Bill?
I am doing well, but we do have a purpose. We actually usually talk about our one website, but we actually have two websites now. So two websites in one. All right, so everyone knows we still have the podcast website that is www.SoberNotMature.com. And we just launched the store website, so we also have that. Do you know what the website address is on that one, Mike?
Of course I don't.
It's pretty easy, Mike. It's www.SoberNotMatureShop.com. But from the podcast website, you can still hit the store link and get into the web store, or you can access it from our Instagram page through the highlights. We've been posting quite a bit about it, and we'll continue to do that. But do you know what's on the second website, Mike?
Well, there's a store. There are products that you can purchase for you and your loved ones.
Well, Mike, do we still have merchandise?
We have merchandise. Well, we got T-shirts and coffee mugs and all kinds of crap.
And one of the coolest parts, we also do have all the recovery books from Hazelden, which is kind of a big deal.
That is a big deal.
Yeah, at least for us. So all the books that we read, God Grant Me, 24 Hours, the Big Book, the 12 and 12, all of those books are available for sale on our website. And again, that store website is www.sober.
Trying to help, man.
I know you are. You're not helping, though. Okay, now I got to say www.SoberNotMatureShop.com. .com. Visit that today, or visit the podcast website, which is, again, the podcast website. So
www.SoberNotMature.com.
Did you just say sober but not mature?
Yeah, sure. Write that down.
Yeah, like fucking mush mouth or something. All right, everyone. You've suffered enough with this, and we'll get back to what we were talking about previously. So visit the websites, though. All right, everyone. Welcome back to Butt Talk. And see, I promise you guys, we always do kind of a prep with people and let them know that we do take a break somewhere in the middle. And I always say we're going to find, this time I actually said a comfortable place to break or an uncomfortable one. And I guess today it was the uncomfortable place to take a break. So, and thank you, Mike, for bringing that up with Butt Doctor. I just thought that was the perfect place to stop. So back to you, Carly. Do you know what you were going to say or no?
Oh my gosh, you're putting me back on the spot again.
Yeah, I thought I'd like shock your mind back into place, but if not, I'm sure we got plenty of other things to talk about. You know what? Start telling us about what you. Well, first of all, I want to ask a real quick question. So, you guys mentioned going to meetings and things like that. Is this 12-step work, AA work, or what type of meetings have you guys been involved in?
AA meetings, but I'm doing 12-step work as well. I'm on my 4th step at the moment.
Okay, yeah, actually, we're on the same. So you guys have been doing both the AA meetings, you too, Carly?
Yes, AA meetings and outpatient rehab group, and my sponsor is also, she is worked the NA program, so she kind of intertwines the NA with the AA for me because I benefit from both of those.
Sure.
So that's been very helpful, having a sponsor who does NA and AA and worked the steps in both programs. So she's able to really, really help me. So I have 2 books, one for AA, one for NA, and we kind of mesh both of those together. So yeah, just the step work, and then attending AA, outpatient rehab, and I do therapy, Bible study. I mean, I try and it's taken a lot of effort on over here, a lot of effort.
You're doing great.
And you know
You're
what
doing
the
great.
thing of it is, I mean, it's whatever works. We know people that I never, and Mike, you went to NA meetings, I think, at
Oh
some
yeah,
point, didn't you?
I own both books.
Yeah.
Right. And I hadn't. I first of all, I never did drugs. Only went to AA. I didn't do therapy, than this type of thing. But you know, I mean, it's I read meditation books and things like that. There's things that I've done. I'm always open to more things, but I've been more on like kind of one path. It intrigues me sometimes, and Instagram, quite honestly, as useless as social media can be at times. I mean, it amazes me the amount of information that's out there for for people in general. I've learned a lot since we've been on Instagram over the last, I don't know, year and a half or whatever it's been, just the different areas of what people are doing and meeting people that are getting sober and staying sober different ways. And I mean, Mike always says it the best, right? I mean, you don't really care how people stay sober, right?
I don't give a shit as long as you're trying to make yourself a better person and you are being a better person and you're making other people's lives better. I don't give a fuck.
Right.
I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, and I mean, it was just more curiosity with me asking the questions because you guys had mentioned the meetings and stuff like that. But so do you guys and the reason I'm going to ask this question is we've talked to, and I've talked to a lot of people on Instagram and things like that. There's a lot of younger folks, which you guys certainly qualify compared to us, that sometimes don't feel that they either can't meet people their age, don't feel like they fit in, that sort of thing. Did you guys ever have that, or are you guys super comfortable with everything? Do you not give a fuck because if there's old guys in there or young people or what? What's your take on that?
Do you want me to go?
Do you mean when we enter the meeting, like the meetings we go to?
Correct. Yeah. Do you? I
Yeah.
mean, do you feel like as two young female individuals, do you feel like you walk in there and it's like, these are my people, this is my place, regardless of age, background, that sort of thing, or did you feel out of place at all, or anything like that when you walked into like a 12-step meeting or an AA meeting?
Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go, hon?
I don't mind. You go.
So, I don't know if you guys have heard of Naples, Florida.
Sure.
Oh, well, what's the term for age group? The demographic here, you're not going to go anywhere and find a group of young people.
Right.
So
it's God's waiting room.
We've got people down there. Uncle Dave lives down there and Sopko lives down there.
Oh yeah. Yep.
They're both in Naples.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's beautiful. It's resort. It's but the demographic, it's older, which I don't mind. I work here 24/7. If I want to have fun or party, or well, I don't really do that anymore. But you go to Miami, Fort Myers, or somewhere at Fort Lauderdale nearby. So the meetings here, if I go to one in Tennessee or if I go to one I was in Seattle, they're going to be younger than anything you find in Naples because it's just older.
Right.
But the way I feel, because when Breeze was visiting me in Florida last month, we went to a meeting and she saw the demographic and she loved it and I loved it. So for me, what I've realized is, yeah, it is nice to connect with somebody that's younger sometimes. And I do, I'll pick the time of day. Like if I go to noon, I know there's going to be an older demographic. If I go to the 7:30 at night, I know there's going to be younger demographic because they're getting off work, things like that. So I kind of pick and choose that. But to be honest, any meeting I go to, it's like I'm going because I need help. I need to talk, recover out loud. I need to hear people's stories. And at the end of the day, the age does not matter to me because I learn something from everybody in those rooms.
Cool. Okay. Perfect. What about you, Breeze?
Mm-hmm.
I agree with Carly. Like, I don't feel like uncomfortable if I don't see like people my age. I kind of prefer it when it's mixed. So I try to go to like a bunch of different ones. I recently went to like an all women's one that they do on like Wednesday nights, and that's where I actually, for the first time, saw a lot of people my age at those ones. I guess for me, like, it's finding more sober musicians, because it's like the industry we're in. It's just like alcohol is everywhere. It's kind of like it's cool to be this, live fast and die young type
Mm-hmm.
of musician. It's like, you're kind of more glorified. It's very glorified. And so I did a show where my friend was headlining, and then he asked us to open for him. And he's 2.5 years sober. And I had no idea till like we connected and he was talking about the show and how he had this company called Sober Bar. They were going to be like doing like non-alcoholic drinks and this whole thing. And it just kind of like got me thinking about how this would be so cool if there was more awareness in the music industry, particularly like with artists, of if you just knew that there were other people in the room that were also sober while you're like at these mixes or at these events or even doing shows, because it's like I felt so comfortable being in that place, because like to me, I honestly saw more people going to Sober Bar than going to like the actual bar. And like even people who were like not sober, they were like, I prefer these drinks over, the drinks at the bar. And I was like, oh,
Right.
yeah, it's because alcohol's trash. Like you don't need it. But it was just like it was an eye opener for me how like I would like to know more musicians that I would run into every day that are actually sober. I feel like I would feel kind of more comfortable, or if they were aware that I was sober, like just even being in a space where everyone else is drinking and like people do drugs and like all that sort of stuff, like you at least you have a buddy there.
Right.
Right. Oh yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, that's yes, in the music industry, but yes, everywhere.
Yeah.
That's life. Yeah. It's very important for us to have that support system, no matter where we're at. Definitely. And the ones of us that have made it, there's a lot of sober musicians out there. There are, you know, and we just don't get the attention that the other ones get.
I feel like it's that, because it's like, I feel like it's extra weird if you're in the music industry and you're sober.
Sure.
Because it's not like, for some reason, it's like the two have to go together. Like you have to be kind of destroying your life for your art to actually be, cool, or
right.
Because you're writing from these very like music is emotion. So the more fucked up your life is, the more you can actually connect with other fucked up people.
The more entertaining you are.
And the more entertaining you are. It's like people live vicariously through you. So it's like you think of
it's called a clown show and a circus for a reason.
Yeah. I mean, I've clicked out of it, but I'd like to promote more.
And there are a lot of people that have. I mean, there's a lot of people that, Duff is very famously sober. He's been for a long time. Guns N' Roses. There's tons. We're out there. Just gotta hang out. You'll find us.
Right.
Yeah. I am definitely like running into more and more lately, which is really cool.
If we make it through, there's more and more.
Love it.
Well, and it's interesting too that like you said, that you noticing more sober people, and that's, or people who are not drinking, maybe is a better way to put it, because and that's the thing that I literally I feel like I stumbled across on Instagram, and this is so stupid, but because both Mike and I have been sober for a little bit, and up until a year and a half ago, I had never heard of gray area drinking before. I had no idea what that was. I didn't know what sober curious was. Alcohol free was obviously is a huge thing that people use. 100% true fucking story. When I got on Instagram, I saw all these profiles with AF. I thought all of them stood for as fuck. So I'm like, all these people are really fucking cool. And then no, it's AF or alcohol free, and I'm like, God, I'm a fucking idiot,
Oh, wow, that's funny.
Yeah, I didn't know any of that, because, but again, I followed both of us were, introduced to AA. Mike's had more experience in different types of recovery than I have. And I wasn't like blinded that I knew other people out there, could get sober and stay sober by different means. I just didn't necessarily know what those means were. I'd heard of smart recovery and a couple other things that were, I don't know, kind of mirror images ish of, AA or a 12-step program or an NA type of thing. But I just didn't realize that there was all these different opportunities. But then on top of it, there's people out there, just normal fucking people that are like, you know what? And you said it, Breeze, that think that alcohol is trash, that it's poison, however people want to put it is fine. They're like, I don't need this shit in my life anymore. The same as I don't want to eat cheeseburgers, or I don't want to eat, stuff my face full of, candy bars all day long. It's the
Yeah.
same concept. People literally are doing this, for their health, and they're looking for alternatives. So that's where the whole NA, as far as non-alcoholic industry comes in, all the mocktails, all the sober bars, all these different things.
Mhm.
It's, first of all, it's a huge moneymaker. It's a multi-million-dollar business out there, which means something. If people are making that much money off it, somebody's buying the shit. So
Mhm.
it's crazy. I don't know. I mean, it's just, if you look around, I can sometimes be in a group of people that I've met, and you look at someone, you're kind of like, I think that person's sober too. Again, by the way they act, what they say, you'll hear a term every once in a while, that comes
Yeah.
out of their mouth, and you're like, I got you, I see you,
Yeah.
but it's cool.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
in Nashville, so Breeze, you're still in Nashville. Obviously, Carly, you're in Florida currently, right?
Yes,
Okay.
correct.
So Nashville is, how did you settle in Nashville? And I guess the other thing is that, do you still consider that a big, I mean, and I've never been to Nashville itself, but is it a big like drinking culture there? I know, again, parts of Florida can be, but Nashville's crazy, right?
There's a
Yeah.
bar every 2 feet in
Oh my
Nashville.
gosh.
Have you
Well,
heard
I
of,
mean, I lived in
have you
Wisconsin.
heard of Broadway?
There's in
Right.
every small town you run into in Wisconsin. This could be a town, and I'm not shitting you. 500 people. There's literally 4 bars, one church, a gas station, and maybe a bank. Okay, there won't be a grocery store for 20 miles, but there's 4 fucking bars in
Right.
literally a 2-block town. So to my defense, there, Mike, having
Right.
having a bar every 2 feet is not a big deal. Or Lakewood, the
I
same
know.
thing.
I know. I've just been to Nashville, so I know.
Okay,
Right.
so here's what was funny. Kind of a side note there. I was just in Memphis a week ago, and this place I had dinner. This couple came in. The bartender's really cool. He's talking to these people and whatever, and like blah blah blah. Bartender's like, "Come on back tomorrow night. We're having another live band, whatever it is." They're like, we're heading to Nashville. And the bartender says to him, he's like, "I'm sorry." They're like, "What do you mean you're sorry?" He's like, "Well," he goes, "here's the thing." He goes, "People come to Memphis to get their soul. They go to Nashville to lose it." And I'm like, wow. And he's just saying it was like more of a touristy, a plastic town type of thing. And that was, I was kind of like, okay, so that was kind of where the question led into, is it just all touristy and I guess bars and shit like that, the big drinking culture then, right?
Yes. Yes to
Okay.
all of that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes to
It's
all of that.
yeah. It's a
Right.
pretty
And I mean, well, I lived in Hollywood for a long
Yeah,
time
there's
too.
another
And
one.
I
Yeah.
mean, back in the late 80s. And I know a lot of people moved to Nashville because, the music industry did shift. A very large chunk of it shifted to Nashville. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've got tons of friends that have moved there because of that. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, it's a lot of
yeah.
people have moved here. Like, there's
Mhm.
just been like an influx in the
Right.
last few years, but
Yeah,
definitely
last 10
the
years, definitely.
yeah, they definitely like the music industries from LA and like from New York have moved to
Mhm.
Nashville. But it
Mhm.
is also like very touristy. Like, there's Broadway, which is just like bar after bar after bar after bar, and that thing's
Mhm.
going 24/7. Just people drinking and carrying on and doing all their thing. But yeah, I kind of like stay away from that. It's like one street, but then
Mhm.
like the rest of Nashville has like other bars and like whatever. But that's like the party street.
Right.
I usually just
Right.
stay away from that.
Well, that's the only reason I went to Memphis is because I wanted to see Beale Street.
Oh,
but
all right, yeah.
but then again, so here's the thing, and Mike knows, I wouldn't step foot in a bar. The first time I even went into a bar after I got sober, I think I was either 4 or 4.5 years sober, and
Oh,
of
wow.
all things, it was my son's they had like an end of the year pizza party for the boys, and it was sponsored by a local bar. And I was there, for a purpose, and my ex-wife was there too. So I was with somebody who, knew what my deal was, but I didn't go into a bar for years, but
Wow.
but the thing of it is, and again, both of us been sober for like 13 and a half years. I wouldn't have walked down there, and I sat and I watched the blues band and all that stuff, and it was fucking awesome. But I wouldn't have done that um, 6, 7 years ago. Certainly not by myself. But I was just telling Mike before you guys got on, I was there for about 45 minutes. And what I ate in there, that was no big deal. But once the band started playing, it starts filling up and people are drinking. And then just instinctively, it was like 40 to 45 minutes. And I'm like, yeah, I need to get the fuck out of here.
Yep.
I didn't want to drink, didn't feel like it, but it was that somehow, some way, there's this alarm, thankfully, that goes off in my head that says, yeah, you don't belong here.
Hmm.
But
Yeah,
it's
it's like
it's
you
a great
just
experience.
get very aware.
Mhm.
You get very aware of like those environments of like, okay, I've been here long enough. I don't need to overstay my welcome.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
just no point,
Yeah,
which is kind of nice.
it is great.
Right? Yeah, it's the freedom. I
Yeah.
don't have to stay here anymore.
Yeah.
There's no reason for me to be here, so I will leave. I
Right.
have somewhere to go.
Yeah.
And the
bed.
bartender was so fucking cool. After I ate, I got done at like, I don't know, it's like 6 or 6:15 or something like that. The band wasn't coming on until 7, and I sure as fuck wasn't going to sit in a bar for another 45 minutes until a band started. So I just asked the bartender, I'm like, can I come back in? Is there a cover, whatever? And he's like, no, just come back in. He goes, sure, cool. I'm like, okay. So I walk back in. He's like, hey, he goes, another diet for you? And I said, and I'm like, yeah, because I didn't think I was going to stay long. And he's like, it's on me. So he got me a free soda. And I'm like, yeah, fuck it. I guess I'm going to,
Oh,
yeah, the bartender was fucking cool, but I was just kind of curious because it's, and again, I mean, I haven't heard that much about Nashville, but still the cool part is it sounds like you found a sober community in the midst of this chaotic drinking world,
Yeah.
though, right?
yeah. And there's like meetings happening like all the time here. So
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I actually went to a meeting in Nashville once.
Oh,
Did you
great.
really?
Yeah. I took a 36-hour layover. I'm a truck driver, so
Right.
I was down there, and there's a. I'm sure you guys know there's a truck stop right there by the football stadium and right across the
Oh,
river.
yeah.
So yeah, so I spent the weekend there and went and walked over and hung out in all the touristy spots and all that good stuff, and then I went and found a meeting. Yeah.
That's cool. I work in a studio. Yeah, I think where you were saying.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a Travel Centers of America, TA. Yep.
Well, that's cool. So, who wants to start with? Tell us about the trust your message thing, or both of you guys.
Oh man. Well,
we just woke Carly up, I think.
I'll introduce. I've been listening, but letting you guys kind of talk. I'll introduce it, and then I'll let Breeze go into what we're gonna be trying to do in the Nashville music community.
Cool.
So
Oh yeah.
basically, it was kind of came to life because, well, sobriety. It started with just this vision I had of like the logo where it was kind of like, and it was representing the hurricane. I don't know if you've seen the logo, but it's the like the hair is kind of wrapping around this girl, and it's about in the midst of the mess finding your message, and there's a cross in it, and it's holding up the crown on the girl's head. And so basically our goal is to kind of make that community thing where right now we're just on Instagram, and we have a girl helping us named Claire, and she started a Facebook. So we're just kind of like growing our audience and content by sharing other people's stories, impactful people. And, eventually we want to be able to host events and do things like that in the sober community, somehow combining both our passions. So I love to design, do art, poetry. Breeze is in the music scene. So we're going to, maybe do like an open mic night with like poetry and artists that are sober, and not just sobriety, but people like our friend Jacqueline, the one I mentioned, who I did the music video with. She's a mental health advocate, and she does mental health songwriter nights. So, just kind of diving into that part of it. But Breeze is going to handle more of the getting to sober artists together and everything. And then I'm kind of just working on content, and basically it's just kind of creating this positive platform where people share their stories. And because what I've realized is sharing my stories helped me recover and helped me continue to recover, because you're holding yourself accountable,
Right.
Yeah.
when you do share. So that's kind of our goal with that. And then Breeze, if you want to say what you're planning on doing in Nashville, and then I'm going to try and make it there for the event she's working at a studio on.
Yeah.
Cool.
So what I'd like to bring to it is kind of what I was talking about before, is like finding other sober musicians and kind of getting us together. Just so like there's like creates kind of like more of that comfort and awareness within the industry. And also the idea I had is for musicians to kind of be able to share their sobriety journey through their music. So whether it's like they've written a song about it or whatever it is, whatever their message is that is keeping them going, kind of creating content and around that, in like live filming, like live performances, and they tell us about their song. And just like to piggyback off what Carly was saying, is just creating this platform of people just sharing their vulnerable moments and like sharing their truth. I feel pays that forward for someone else to come across, and whether that's the exact thing that they needed to hear. That's what I find like very powerful about social media and just about people sharing stories, is like you don't even have to meet someone, or you don't even have to be in a room with someone, and you could just be at like your lowest point and you could come across something that could, you know, really make a huge difference in your life that day. So that's the idea behind your message, is just sharing stories and having people just kind of open up about what was in their darkest moment, what was something that they found in that is now actually kind of like their greatest light. And so, yeah, it's really exciting, and I love that I can do this with Carly. It's
No, I
fucking
mean
awesome.
that's super cool. So, how is it going so far as finding musicians? I mean, because again, I know you had mentioned just a little bit ago that that's one of your main goals. So, has it been a challenge to try to get, I guess, find this group of musicians to work on this?
It actually hasn't, as I think it hasn't, because you just kind of attract them, and then you just sort of like get to talking, and then, you know, I'll just say, hey, I'm like sober now, and they're like, oh, I am too. And like, well, sometimes like I did a content day with a bunch of different artists, and it's like all creating TikTok content and all this stuff. And then I went to follow like one of the artists, and he was like had in his bio like 5 years sober. So it's like I was like, oh, this is fucking cool. I know this after the fact, not when I was like, you know, with him all day.
Right.
So I'm definitely running into them, and I've like talked to them about what I'd like to start doing, and so I definitely have like their support behind it. So the next steps is just like getting into the studio and recording and getting all the content ready, which, you know, I'm just in like the preparation mode for that. So but yeah, it's definitely, I think, a need for it. So I along with Carly, like we're both just like wanting to just kind of like go full steam ahead with things. And yeah, just anything that can create positive and be impactful and promote like healing, I think is like, I'm all for it. So
Right. And with and I've have both of your Instagram pages. I know in the promos that I've been doing, and also I have the Trust Your Message Instagram page linked in there too, which I'll do obviously in our podcast notes here, which um, will be on. It'll all be in there. But are you guys, Carly? Did you say you guys are working on a website also, or no?
Yeah, we are. We kind of put the website on pause right now because so we bought the domain, we have the website, but we haven't published it or launched it because right now we're kind of just birthing this, and we're trying to figure out what direction, like out of all the opportunity in the recovery community and sobriety, around sobriety and the different interests. Like we know we want to do some music things, and So we're trying to think like what exactly on that website do we want to do? Because my idea originally was let's make this a toolbox where it's kind of like, we feature people. We have different categories like fashion, music, art, and then we have like a tattoo artist who's sober. Here's her story. Here's her website. Here, so kind of creating a toolbox of people in there and different links and different things like what people are doing on their journey. But I think right now we're trying to figure out what the best thing to do on the website is, or how to promote that, or exactly what direction do we want to start to do merch with our logo on it, that kind of thing. So right now we're just doing the Instagram and Facebook where we're kind of promoting like and featuring people and just putting up positive things and positive people that are within that can help anybody that's in recovery.
Right.
And then we'll dive into the website. But we do have I'm excited because we have the domain, we have the colors, we have our logo, we have everything. We're just like, it's just so new that we haven't figured out exactly. There's so much we could put on there, and whatever we do choose to put on there, we want to make sure we're maintaining it and we're like certain about it.
Right.
So right now, just getting our name out there on Instagram, Facebook, and socials. We started TikTok but haven't uploaded, so slowly working that. Breeze is going to be doing the Nashville music nights and then slowly growing it, but we plan on having it grow bigger, so we're trying to figure out exactly like what is that website going to look like and what's it going to highlight about us and what we're trying to do.
Sure. And I wanted to know that if that's something you wanted us to include, obviously in notes and stuff like that. But let's say when and if you guys get to that point where you have a website, regardless of when it is, let us know. And we'll help cross promote all this stuff. I mean,
Definitely.
Well, these are the type of things, and we've had the pleasure of having some very probably unique people, I would say, right, Mike? And interesting guests over the last, year or so. And it's just
Absolutely.
any time that we have that opportunity, and that's why, like when you and I started talking, Carly, is just that, tell us about the sobriety. Let's talk about the solution. But majority of people, not everyone, but the majority of the people have had something to promote, a book, a thing, whatever the deal is, and it's fun because if there's anywhere, well, we don't have a huge following or anything like that, but anything we could do to help out would be pretty cool. And here's the other thing I thought about. We just and I'm not going to name it right now until I talk to the individual, but we just partnered up with somebody that I think something like this might be something. It might be something they would want to get a hold of. It's a sober community, and I'll talk to her about this and maybe get a little bit more exposure for you guys, because they're all about doing stuff for sober people in the sober community and promoting things like this, and especially all the different types of with the music side of things and the art and all this different stuff. I just think it's super cool because I wrote down what you said earlier, Carly. Pain expressed artistically, I thought was kind of cool the way you said that, which you're doing it with your writing and all that sort of stuff, and then Breeze, obviously, you're doing it with the music. I just thought I wrote that down because I thought that was pretty cool. About kind of the baseline for what you guys are doing.
Yeah, thank you. No, it's definitely been, and when like being with somebody or around people who accept you for your flaws and encourage you to, I've been encouraged since sobriety to, write it out. And the next thing you know, the writing my steps or writing things out from the AA book, it turned into like, I started rhyming words, and then it just kind of snowballed into now I'm doing poetry. And like now whenever I get upset, like my poem Betty Ford, that was actually, I wrote that I remember it was on my 6 months. I wanted to relapse. And instead of relapsing, I sat and I wrote about the first time that I did relapse, which was a year ago. So it's been for me just so healing. And I pick topics and whatever's on my mind that's hurting me or that's painful, and I do a poem about it. And then it's like this weird, just kind of like, it like lifts off of me the weight and stuff I'm feeling. So yeah, it's, I'm realizing how important expression is, especially in creative, healthy ways.
Right. Well, that was one of the things that we talk about this all the time, but the the reason that we started this podcast was literally for just Mike and I to get together on a Friday night as kind of as a meeting between the two of us and just shoot the shit. And we figured, hey, if anyone listens, fine. If they don't, fuck them, because that's probably where we just didn't really give a shit how it sounded, what it was. We don't edit anything, and it just kind of came about where we just kind of like shooting the shit, but both of us, and Mike says it all the time. When he hopped on here today, he's just like, ugh. Right, Mike? And it's every week. I mean, and I get it. You have long weeks, and I won't speak for you, but last thing you want to do sometimes is come on here, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, sit there. Yeah, I don't. Jeez, but guess what? My feelings don't fucking matter today. It's my actions. Right. I don't feel like doing this, but you know what? I'm going to do it anyway. And by the time I'm done, I feel good. We've done something. We've accomplished something. We've got to meet new people. It's all great. But yeah, of course, my internal feelings when I don't want to fucking do this. No way. But I do it.
Yeah.
I feel better. Hey, imagine that. I learned that shit somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's literally, we have, I mean, this is episode, what is this, 83? So we've done 83 episodes, and there hasn't been one where it's the same thing as when we've never walked out of a meeting and, said, boy, that was a piece of shit, because,
Right.
well, I know my sponsor did when I first got sober. He said that he goes, they'll never go to a meeting that's totally bad. He goes, always try to pick out one thing. He said, even if the one thing that you got something out of was when the person said, have a good night, everyone, and the meeting's done. He said, that's fine. He goes, you got to take one piece out of everything, which I always got more out of them. But the same thing with this podcast. This is kind of a way for us to just, in telling all these, I mean, especially probably the first, how many episodes, Mike? What, 15 to 20 when we were really digging deep back into our stories and stuff like that?
Mm-hmm.
We still do, and we've gotten in, older stories, but and it is. I mean, this whole thing that we do here, it's kind of therapeutic, it really is. And you got to have a way, in my opinion, people have to, especially sober people, have to have a way to express themselves in some way, shape, or form, or what the hell else are you going to do,
Express yourself
Exactly.
and connect with another person.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, right. That's a huge part of this whole thing.
Right.
Connection.
Again, like I said, I'm a goddamn isolator. I'm a loner. I live by myself. I like to live by myself. My job is pretty much a solo thing. This is the way I live my life, and I like it that way. But that connection's huge. And quite often, sometimes I have to force myself to do it. But again, like I said, after I do that, I feel better.
Yep.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Exactly. That's how I feel. Like I have to make myself go to meetings sometimes, but when I'm leaving and I'm driving home, I'm like, wow, I'm so glad I like feel it. Just completely changes my mood because I'm a very introvert. I like to create, and I like to be able to think in silence and in peace. And so when I do shake things up and go to a meeting or go, be around people, I end up first when I'm driving there, I'm like, why am I doing this? I just want to stay home, make my dinner, be alone, watch, do whatever. But I end up leaving and I feel, and Breeze can attest to this too, because my voice on the phone on the way there is kind of like, yeah, going to a meeting. And then afterwards I call her and it's like, just got done my meeting. And it's like totally like a total shift in energy. So I know exactly what you mean, where it's like, oh, like when you start it, but then after you make that connection and with others and you have this totally different mindset almost. It just like, I don't know, it's uplifting in a very strange way.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what they used to always tell us.
The topic is always like, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just about to say, like, the topic is always like on point to whatever it is you're going through.
Right.
And it's just, I always laugh now. I'm like, okay, cool. I guess I will have to learn something.
Because it's all the same. It's all the same shit. We're all going through the same shit. It's all the same. Of course, it's going to connect with us, right?
Yeah.
Because we're not unique. We're not special. We're not different. We're just fucking garden variety drunks. In my case, you did a whole bunch of dope.
Exactly.
But yeah,
Exactly.
but they
Exactly.
used to just always tell us with, again, going to meetings and stuff, bring the body and the mind will follow, or the rest of you will follow. It just, all you gotta do is get yourself there, put yourself in front of people, put yourself in the middle of this thing that we do, and all the rest will fall into place. So, but yeah, it is super cool. All of it is. So, what else with the trust your messenger? What else do you guys want to share with everyone? Again, I will have both of your individual Instagram pages on here, the trust your message in the notes also, so people obviously can do that, or obviously connect with you guys that way. But what else do you want to share with people? Where to find yourselves, what you guys are doing? What else do you want to get out there to people?
I think what I would want to share is just that we're just human and we're trying to start something that's going to turn into something great that can help people and just be a positive light. And what we do with the trust your message is, it's not my Instagram page, it's, if you go to it, it's all me. If you go to Breeze's, it's her. It's like individual. But the trust your message, it's not about us, it's about community, and it's about creating somewhere that people can go and just see positive things and outside of ourselves. So I think that's the main thing we're trying to do, is just gain a bunch of different perspectives and stories and resources to share with people, and just highlight positivity and community and connection through, not just, it's not like if you go to trust your message, you're not going to be seeing much of us or connecting with us on there. You're going to be seeing like people that you can look at, or a book you can read, or a quote that might, make your day or change your mindset. Or so it's really just about making a difference, and that's our main goal with that. And it's starting off small right now, but we both are we're very passionate about it, so I know it's going to turn into something much bigger. So we're both really excited about that. So right now, just putting positivity out there, highlighting positive resources and people in the recovery community, or that just positively can influence somebody in the recovery community. And that's really the goal of the trust your message. And is there anything else you want to say, hun?
No, you said it all.
Good answer. No, I'm just kidding.
She knows. Apparently, she knows when to say nope. You covered it all. It's all good. Yeah, you got it.
You just speak,
Right.
you speak so well. I don't know what to add to that.
But
well, I just want people to know it's not any, we don't have our website up yet. It's not anything that's huge right now, but we are both very talented, very creative people that we're going to make something great that can really benefit everybody. And it's not just going to be showcasing like our talent or, my writing or Breeze's music. This is going to be a community thing.
Right. Well, that's
exactly.
Yeah, it's super cool. And then literally when you guys, as you guys start to grow with this, and whatever that event is that you guys are doing, and all that stuff, let us know, and we're more than happy to to cross post and help you guys promote that, because we're all in this for the same reason. That's really what it comes down to. And like I said, it's still just it blows my mind, but I think it's just such a cool thing that. You guys have the same mindset and mentality that, a couple of old guys do, and I just thought that still kind of cracks me up, because, literally
Yeah.
when we come into sometimes, guests and things like that, we do a little bit of, vetting, if you want to call it that, but very little. A lot of times of what we accept guests on here based on the feel of it, right, Mike? If it seems,
yeah, absolutely.
and
we just rejected one on the feel of it.
and nicely though, it's just one of those things where we don't think. And if Carly, when you first reach out to me, I said, give me some background. Have you listened? All these different things. There's certain criteria that we finally got into place that people have to have listened to the shit that comes out of our mouths. Because the last thing that the last thing that we want is to get somebody on here that either that we quote unquote offend, or we don't seem to get young term in here vibe with. If that doesn't happen, then it's a horrible conversation for us. We're not going to have any fun, and it's going to be pointless to anyone who tries to listen to this. But Again, we do a lot of this on feel, and it seemed like what you guys were putting together was kind of cool, and I mean, thankfully we were right, right, Mike?
Yeah.
And
Go
no, I was
ahead.
just gonna say, yeah, you guys got to come on here, and hopefully you don't walk away from this going, my God, those guys are dicks too.
No, this has been
No.
really cool. I'm
Yeah.
really, really grateful that you guys, accepted us coming on here and that we've had this conversation, got to share a bit of our story. This is, Breeze has done podcasts before in the music industry, but this is my first time ever being a guest on a podcast.
Oh, really?
So
Okay,
it's
cool.
yeah. So I had a lot this week. I shared poetry for the first time out loud, and then now I did a podcast for the first time, and so it was a lot of firsts this week. So and I'm gonna forever cherish that because that's something you don't forget. So even no matter what podcast or anything I do in the future, this sober not mature will always be my first. So
Well, you know what? In honestly, I mean, you seem ridiculously comfortable. I would have never thought that you've never
Yeah.
gotten behind a microphone before. So that's cool. It's very cool.
oh, thank you. Yeah, no, I think because I think when you're passionate about something and
Right.
the topic, like I knew that talking to you guys about this and also just hearing your podcast from other guests and things, I knew I wasn't nervous about it. Plus Breeze being on here, like it seemed really, I just knew it was going to be fun and a good experience. And I was excited about doing my first podcast with you guys. So
I was excited.
Well, good.
Coming
No, I
on
mean,
here too. I was
seriously,
like,
we appreciate that because I mean, this has been a lot of fun. So seriously, I mean, thank you guys. And if you've listened, you know what comes next because it's Mike's turn to close us out because I think we're done unless you guys got anything else to add.
no, that's everything. I
that's
think.
everything.
Okay.
Yeah, but thank you so much for having us on. It's been a really
Yes,
great time.
thank
You're
you.
welcome.
It has.
Yeah, but don't hang up yet. Mike's still gotta get mouthy.
All right, take it
Okay.
away, Mike.
Right. All right. Well, thank you everyone for listening to another episode of Sober Not Mature. Thank you to Breeze and Carly for coming on and spending this time with us. I had a really good time. And remember, kids, do something nice for somebody else this week. Go out there and do something kind for somebody and don't tell anybody that you did it. And now it is time. It is that time for you to fuck off. Then keep fucking off. Keep fucking off until you get to a gate with a sign on it saying you cannot fuck off past here. Climb over that gate. Dream the impossible dream and keep fucking off forever.
Clearly, you guys you must not have heard that before.
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm making that
I
my
lo-
ringtone.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you're really nice to me, maybe I can figure out which clip you want.
Yeah.
I'll do an audio clip for you and I'll send it to you.
Yeah, right. That would be awesome.
I will make background music to that.
Nice.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
that'd be fucking awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I will do it.
Okay. Well,
Send it to me and I'll do it.
I will. Yeah, was
All
that?
right. You know what? Hang on. Everybody be quiet. Everybody mute your microphones
Yeah, go ahead and mute, guys.
because we're going to get a nice clean take on this one.
everyone
All
mute.
right. Are we ready? Are we ready? Here we go. And now it is time for you to fuck off. Then keep fucking off. Keep fucking off until you get to a gate with a sign on it saying you cannot fuck off past here. Climb over that gate. Dream the impossible dream and keep fucking off forever.
Breeze, did you record that?
I didn't record it.
No, that's okay. No.
Oh no.
No.
Guess
I'm
what?
gonna-
We've recorded it.
Yeah, we
Well,
It will
recorded
be
it.
Oh,
recorded.
Yeah. Well, he just redid that so he could get a nice. And I knew what he was
Oh,
doing.
yeah.
He was right up close to
Yeah.
the mic. Both,
Oh my gosh,
both
that's
hands around
awesome.
and holding on to
Throw
it.
some beats on it.
Yeah, as soon as I heard everyone mute your mics, I was like, "Oh damn, this is happening."
She can really put background music to that too,
No, and
Nice.
and make it really smack.
I will because now that we've got that, I'll cut that piece. If I may not do that piece tonight because I get the rest of the episode done, but I'll cut that piece and I'll email it to Carly because I've got your email address, Carly, and then throw something behind that. That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Send it
That'd
back
be
to
Yeah,
us.
awesome.
and then
Oh, yeah.
send it back to us, man. That'd be super fucking
I
cool.
mean, my pleasure. Yeah.
Yeah,
Fuck
that's
yeah.
awesome.
Look at
I'm
this.
down.
I don't
Beautiful.
give a shit what. It doesn't even matter what else happened up until now. This is fucking cool. We're gonna,
Yeah, that is cool. We're gonna be Breeze is gonna make the background music for the ending of telling everybody to fuck off.
Nice.
Oh, I might be able to. Ooh, I could add that to our outro.
Yeah.
Oh man, you know what?
Yeah, that would be really cool. Oh yeah, we got to do
Yeah,
that.
Breeze,
you got to do
Breeze,
that.
you're the shit. I'm telling you, because this is fucking cool. Okay.
That is, yeah. All right.
All right.
Thank you so much,
Yeah, thank
guys.
you,
All right.
guys.
Yeah. Thank you very, very much, Mike. I love you, brother. I'll talk to you soon. And
I love you too.
everyone else have
Babe, I love you.
I love you,
Not
baby.
you, not fuck Knuckle or Bill.
Oh,
Breeze.
come on, man. I thought I was Babe. What the fuck, man? Now I feel bad. Look at that. You're ending this on a bad note. All right.
Oh,
that's
that's funny.
enough.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys. See ya.
Bye.
As always, thank you for listening to another episode of Sober, Not Mature. To access all of our content and interact with us, please visit our website, SoberNotMature.com. Thank you again for listening, and we will talk to you soon.